Hey up everybody, Magpie Gaming here, I hope you're all doing well. So we recently had a podcast by Battlestate Games. This featured some prominent streamers on, as it does, you know these things. They get together, they chat about the game, you find out some information. This has been broken down into the main points that they've put on their forum, so I'm going to go through these main points now because... you know, and you might call me lazy, but I just can't be asked to sit through the full podcast. I think it was about 2.5 hours long, so yeah, I just couldn't be bothered. But it has been put into a VOD, so I will put a link in the description down below to that if you want to go and watch it. There's probably some little nitpicky information in that podcast that you don't get in the cut down clipped version of it, but yeah, if you want to check that out, the link will be there. So first off, they started by saying information about the wipe will probably be released next week, which is the week commencing the 20th of April. It's rumoured that a wipe would be May or June time. That may have slipped now. Obviously with the COVID-19 situation, it's slowed development of the game a little bit, I think. So we might have to maybe wait a bit longer for a wipe. I'm not too sure. But there's a bit of a call now for a wipe. A lot of people have got to the end game, getting a little bit bored, want to see things change up a little bit and start again. So we will hopefully find some information out about that next week. Raid episode 4 is planned for mid-May. Not sure if they're able to film that currently over in Russia, obviously with COVID-19 again affecting things, but that will be out in mid-May apparently. If you don't know what the raid episodes are, they're basically real live action enactments of what Escape from Tarkov would look like in real life. They're roughly 10-15 minutes long and the production values on them is pretty good, to be fair, so if you haven't watched them, go to the official Escape from Tarkov YouTube channel and you'll be able to watch them there. They say for the next patch, which is going to be 12.5, this will contain settings of graphic post effects. Filters from Nvidia will become unavailable for use once that comes on. So they released a picture recently, if I remember I will put it in the background of the video, and these are the post effects options that you are going to have, which will be directly embedded into the game. So already they got rid of one game filter program, and it's been that long since I actually spoke about it, I forgot the name of it, but somebody will remind me in the comment section. They did say at the time that Nvidia game filter support would vanish at some point, and this is going to be the point at which that happens. They are going to include their own filters into the game and the Nvidia ones will no longer function. Been a long time coming for some proper filters within the game. Obviously these will be ones that shouldn't give people an advantage because there's always been arguments over whether filters from third party software actually gave you an advantage in the game. A lot of people argued that it didn't, a lot of people argued that it did. It was a never ending argument. Hopefully with these filters in coming directly from Battlestate, that should end that argument, and these filters should just serve to make the game look a little bit better, or at least you'll be able to customize it on how it looks and it'll look how you want it to look. Sometimes Escape from Tarkov can look a little bit bland, so hopefully we'll be able to change it a little bit with these settings. The 911 pistol will be in 12.6. The Chris Vector will most likely appear in 12.7. Some people have said it's 12.6, they're saying it will most likely be 12.7. We'll have to wait and see on that one. The UMP is in the plans, or the UMP as some people like to call it, but they've got no exact dates for that one yet. The boss on Shoreline, the Sanitar? Is that right? The Sanitar? Oh, right, yeah. Okay, that was a bit of an odd name. He is scheduled for 12.7. A rework of the skills, the first changes will be in patch 12.7. Not really sure what's going on there with the skills, whether we'll be able to earn them quicker, or some might be slowed down. We'll have to wait and see what happens with those. The compass is planned for either 12.7 or 12.8. People have been asking for a compass for a long time in the game. Is it going to be very effective though? If it's a compass that is on your arm where you've got to press a button and it pulls it up, is that going to be quick enough to spot out people and call them out to your teammates? I don't think it will be. Obviously more realistic, but in terms of seeing somebody and being like, oh, they're at 220, you know, you've got to press a button, you've got to wait for the arm to come up, you've got to read it and then relay that information. Is that going to be quick enough? I'm not too sure. I would prefer a compass across the top of the screen like what you have with some games at the moment, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Steam Audio, one of the biggest wanted features of the game, will appear in 12.6. This will be the first iteration and is aimed at improving the quality of sound positioning in the game, something which Escape from Tarkov does suffer with hugely. Being able to position where somebody is by the sound of their footsteps can be very, very hard in this game. Now, admittedly, sometimes it's very easy, it just works very well, but sometimes it can be very hard, especially on steps. People make no footstep sounds on steps. which is odd. So hopefully this will fix that, and overall the positional sound will be a lot better. It says that 50,000 cheats were blocked in March. Developers work daily with BattleEye. That's a hell of a lot of accounts that were banned, so it makes you wonder just how many active accounts there are on Escape from Tarkov. There must be a hell of a lot, especially if they can ban 50,000 cheats. But every cheat that's banned is a win for us legitimate players. Next one, Nikita and the developers do not quite approve the ping limit that they have recently applied to the game. For example, due to high ping, players cannot play with friends in different parts of the world, but at the moment we have what we have. These are necessary measures to combat cheaters and abusers. In the future, perhaps something on this subject will change and be finalised. Personally, it has to change. I know friends that cannot play on the game now. They don't have great broadband connections, and they are kicked even when joining local country servers. So this is something that needs to be really looked at. If you have to rely on a ping kick to try and combat cheaters and abusers, it says a lot for your overall anti-cheat if you've got to rely on something as archaic as that to try and combat it. They certainly need to look at another way of working this out. Now, if I'm in the UK and I join an Asian server, by all means apply a ping kick to me. I am going to be abusing the system there, and if my ping's okay, then allow me to have that connection, but obviously put a ping kick on me because I'm joining a different region other than the one I live in. If I'm in the UK and I join a UK server but I have a poor connection, I should still be allowed to play because I am in my own region. I'm not trying to abuse the system, it's just that I have crap broadband and I should be allowed to play it. A lot of people at the moment cannot even play the game because of this ping kick. The other thing with it is, as soon as your ping is too high for I think it's 2 seconds, you are kicked off the game. You should be given a longer grace period with which to lower your ping. Now, I've got excellent broadband. I've got one of the fastest in the country at the moment. I get a very low ping on my broadband, but every now and again, even when I'm gaming, it can spike. Somebody starts streaming something in the house or a download kicks in, my ping will spike. So then I run the risk of being kicked from that game as well, and it's a bit ridiculous. To say that it's being put in to combat cheaters and abusers, it just seems an archaic system, and it definitely is something that should change soon rather than later. Players will have the opportunity to send reports of suspicious players, abusive nicknames and bug abusers in the near future. This is something that we've been asking for a long time, and I think the way this is going to work is when you get your end screen from a raid, you will be able to pick out somebody, I think it's going to be the person that's killed you, and you will be able to report them for suspicious activity. That's something that can be abused. I mean, if you simply didn't like the way you got killed and you didn't like it, you could just report them even though they've actually done nothing wrong. But again, it just gives us that extra little thing to try and combat cheaters and abusers. We'll be able to instantly report them. Nikita once again noted that there will be no microtransactions in the game. This is not a method of dealing with intruders selling loot for real money. Trading for real money violates the license agreement and will lead to account blocking. This is only a matter of time. So yeah, we're not going to get microtransactions in the game, but there are a plethora of websites out there where you can buy in-game items for real world money. Now, as a small YouTuber that has started to gain some subs, I've gained a couple of hundred subs so far in the last couple of months. That's got the attention of some of these companies. I have had up to now 3 different companies approach me asking to sponsor my Escape from Tarkov videos. They want to pay me, I think one wants to pay me directly into PayPal $20 a month to advertise their website at the start of my videos. Another one was willing to pay me $100 per video to put their website in. I don't approve of these websites. If the game doesn't support it, then it shouldn't be there. Buying in-game items for real world money is pay to win, and I don't agree with it. It is cheating in effect and shouldn't be going on. But where you have a game that you've got an in-game economy, you are going to get a real world economy sprout up around that, and it's just something that Battlestate are going to have to tackle, but they need to get faster at it. Now, me personally, I would like to report these websites to Battlestate, but I'm a little bit dubious about doing it because you do hear of people that try to do the right thing when it comes to reporting cheaters and abusers, and they themselves end up on the wrong end of the stick with Battlestate. So I think maybe some portal where you can safely and securely report things like this should be implemented. I've seen a lot of people recently take up these websites on their offers, and these people should be sought out and have their accounts banned. I just don't agree with it, and it isn't right, and it certainly isn't something that I will ever support. Bare voice acting that speaks broken English will be added into the game. This is something that a lot of people have asked for for. People choose USEC because they know what they're saying. Now obviously this is a Russian game, but it's got worldwide appeal now, and more people speak English than they do Russian that play this game now, I think so. But broken English would be good, and then we could start to use the bear a bit more. I love the Russian voice, it's a bit more authentic than the American one, but at the moment we don't really use it because we don't know what the fuck they're saying. So hopefully once the broken English is added in, you will see a lot more bears being used within the game. Offline game with friends is in plans. Perhaps for this there will be a separate server without gaining experience in raid. This is a feature that's been asked for a long time. Obviously as a solo you can play an offline raid, but you can't do an offline raid with your friends. So this is something that they're looking at introducing. This would be good for content creators. You'll be able to create scenarios that you can record for your videos and whatnot. You'll also be able to practice, which will be the main function of it, so I'm looking forward to that feature being added. Button to quickly drop the backpack is in the plans. Now some people are going to look at that and go, what? Why would you want a button to quickly drop your backpack? But it doesn't sound as daft as it sounds, because now that we've got this weight limit in, once you start to gather loot and put it obviously in your backpack, you become overweight. It slows your ADS down, it slows your movement down. Now one of the things that I've started to do in raids is if I'm in a sustained firefight or it looks like I'm going to get into one, I tend to find a room and drop my backpack. Then I have full mobility of my character, I can move pretty quickly, I can move pretty fast, and then once I'm finished in the firefight, if I win it, I can go get my backpack and then go do my looting. So they are going to introduce a bind so that you can quickly drop your backpack, which gets a big thumbs up from me. The next location in the game will either be Lighthouse or Streets of Tarkov. The main work goes on Streets of Tarkov. Streets of Tarkov is the one that they've spoken about the most recently. We've seen images of that come out, so we will most likely get that one next, but it's good to know that they're also working on Lighthouse at the moment. In 12.5 and 12.6 there will be various corrections aimed at eliminating freezes and various errors. Again, this is just something that just goes on and on and on, trying to tighten up the game, get rid of the freezes. These are probably the main complaint of most Tarkov players, that it just happens too much, goes on too much. Hopefully the lower that they can get the freezes, the better. This next one, don't quite understand this one, so if anybody can shed any light on this in the description in the comment section below, let me know. Obviously if I watched the podcast I would probably have a greater idea, but as I say, I'm just too lazy to do that at the moment. So the idea of the ability to do everything all at once in one raid is something that the developers want to get rid of. Lurking, shooting, making money, one man, no man. Developers want players to have to choose between such things in raid. Not really sure what's meant by that one, but as I say, if you know, let us know in the comments section down below. Developers are actively trying to find a balance between the creation of new content and technical updates or bug fixes. Cheaters and bugs take up most of the time for programmers, and they cannot work fully on new features. Again, this is, Escape from Tarkov has grown exponentially this year, especially. It had such popularity over the New Year period. We had big streamers start playing the game, we had an influx of new players, so the game grew massively. And obviously they've got to balance the development of the game now between developing it and maintaining it, which obviously means tackling cheats and the bugs within the game. And it seems as though they're struggling to keep, both of them going forward. But I guess that's just the pains of being a small studio with a pretty popular game on your hands. It's no bad thing at the end of the day, but it does mean that maybe development isn't going as fast as it should be. Hopefully they can work in conjunction with BattleEye and maybe get things sorted out so that they start to get the cheats down. There will be a way to stop so many cheats being in the game, and they'll be able to boost the development, but it's just finding that point, and hopefully they will find it eventually. Nikita and the developers believe that the gameplay at the Escape from Tarkov tournament does not show the real essence of the game, but it is interesting to watch such tournaments. There will definitely be more tournaments, including those from Twitch, more well developed. So they recently had a tournament, and I think Battlestate have an idea of how they want these tournaments to look and play out, but the streamers have other ideas. They play the game how they want to play it, maybe cut corners, maybe don't show certain things within the game, or maybe don't play it how the developers want them to play it, but that's just how they want to play it. They'll play it to what suits them best. The tournaments are good to watch. I personally don't watch a great deal of them. Most of the time it's because Cotton isn't playing in them, and I absolutely love Cotton, and I would prefer to watch him in some of these tournaments. But yeah, it is good that these tournaments are going on. Obviously you get the drops in these, so you will get in-game items if your Twitch account is linked to your Escape from Tarkov account, so that draws a lot of people in to watch them, and it generally keeps the popularity of the game going, so the more of them that we have, the better. Daily tasks, similar to quests from the tournament, random quests, players will have the opportunity to perform such tasks in the future. This is something that I would like to see added to the game. Daily quests, weekly quests, monthly quests. This is something that they could add, and it would keep the game going forward. It would keep it fresh. It's just something to mix things up a little bit rather than just having the quests that we have at the moment. If we could have a monthly quest line, maybe like what you have in something like Battlefield 5, where you've got a quest line to go towards and you maybe get a little prize at the end of it. Adding something like that I think would be perfect for Escape from Tarkov. It would keep people interested, it would keep them playing. The merchandise store has been postponed due to COVID-19. That's a shame because I was looking forward to getting some merchandise, but obviously keeping people safe is a lot more important than getting a merch store up and running, but I'm sure that once they can, it will be up and running. And again, purchasing merchandise, it'll be cool to have some branded merchandise for Escape from Tarkov, and of course the money goes into the continued development of the game. Patches 12.5 and 12.6 will be directed mainly to the technical component. 12.7 approximately 50-50 with content. When adding new mechanics, we have to stop and fix errors. So again, they're basically saying that they're having to do a balancing act between fixing out bugs within the game and introducing new features. Every time they introduce a new feature, something inevitably seems to break and they have to fix it. So it's a fine balancing act. Me personally, I don't want them to rush things. I think the process that they're going through and the stages at which they're releasing things is absolutely fine. You know, if it isn't ready to be released, don't release it. Just take your time, get it right first time as much as you possibly can. The ability to send loot to the stash and remain in the raid is planned. This means the ability to evacuate a backpack with loot from a location for money. So this is a bit like the system that you have in the Dark Zone in The Division, where you're able to call in an extraction and you can pull your loot out without actually leaving the raid. I think that would be useful, but I'd actually question how useful it's going to be when raids are between 45 and 55 minutes long. How often are you going to need to pull loot out of a raid? Obviously that has increased now with this weight system. You find yourself a couple of helmets, some armour, a couple of guns, and you're already overweight and you're struggling to move. So being able to call in a loot extraction would be quite useful, but I think it would be more useful if raids went on for longer. So I'll have to see if they actually make it any longer, but I think it'd be useful just to be able to get some of your loot out, because at the moment once you hit that limit of 50 kilos and it starts to slow your walking down, you can actually struggle to get out of the raids, and to be penalised in what is essentially a looter shooter game for actually looting within the raid seems a little bit silly. So I think this is a way of balancing that weight system. If you're over rate, you'll be able to get it out, bring your weight back down, be more mobile again, and then the chance of getting even more loot becomes, you know, an option. So I think, yeah, that would be a good addition to the game. The developers are also testing a version of Unity 2019 so that they can switch to it soon. So we had the switch from the old Unity, I'm not sure what version it was it 5.3, 6.3, something like that, up to Unity 2018. That took them 6-7 months of developing to get that right and move over to it. Obviously that was a massive task. I would assume that the task of going from 2018 to 2019 won't be so big. I think the differences between the engines won't be too much. I think programming wise they would be pretty similar. It'd be easy to switch over. Obviously there'll be newer features in that they can take advantage of, so us as players really shouldn't see too much difference in things. It will probably just be a lot easier for them doing the development of the game. So I don't think there'll be a big hoo-ha made out about moving to 2019 as there was from going from the old one to 2018. They say that Unity is a rather complex and specific engine. There are no games like EFT on Unity and most likely will not appear. Probably not, no, because let's be honest, you picked the wrong engine for a game of this type, but it's too late to change now. You should have used Unreal. I think a lot of people will agree with that, but they didn't. They went with Unity. They've made it work up to now so far. Obviously they're getting direct help from Unity on this as well, and nobody knows Unity Unity's engine as better than Unity themselves. So hopefully they will eke out the best performance from this engine going forward, and we will hopefully see, a reduction in freezes and stuttering in the game as we go along. And that was it for the main points from the VOD from the podcast. Some good points there. Again, it just gives us a view of what we've got coming. Obviously Steam Audio is coming. They're going to look at the ping kick. There's lots of various bug fixes and things like that coming along. We've got some new weapons coming along. We will have lots of new gear coming along also. So it just gives us a breakdown of what's going to be happening over the coming months and probably the rest of the year, I reckon. The next patch is going to be 12.5. When will we see that? I'm not too sure. I would think that we'll see it within the next month at least. When will we get a wipe? We don't know. We'll probably find out next week, but I don't think a wipe will be too far away. But again, take it all with a pinch of salt. This is Battlestate Games, and sometimes they can say things are going to happen next week and they happen 3 months later. So that's just the way it goes with Battlestate. And that is it for this video, folks. I've rambled on long enough. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Stay safe, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.